Ba'av.
Maybe she was also what's the important definition of love?
Oh boy, maybe he already said the shir.
Which sicha?
Chilul Chavdalet?
Yeah. Okay. Muchazor. It's good.
Chazara.
It's good. It's Gishmak.
I should have asked him before. I didn't think you would talk on Sunday already. Chamisha Asabah.
That's and then it's going, he said it's going to be
Which
bring
one?
it.
Filter water. I'm gonna bring it. So I think water, I guess. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see.
Let's take a look at the Gemara, the Kuf Chaf Aleph and the Aleph. The Gemara says in the middle of the page,
I know. Right.
the Nan Hasan, the Gemara says in the line starts with Mumcha. The Nan Hasan. We learned over there in the Seches Tainis. Amar of Shimon Gamliel, the Mishnah says, Lehoyam Tov Yisrael, Ki Chamisha Asa Ba'av, Ki Yom Kippurim. Shebahan in those days, Yoitzit B'nais Yishalayim, Yoitzit B'kli Lavan, Sh'ulin. They would go out with white clothing, white borrowed garments. Shaloi Levayish is Mishaymeh. Why would they go out with borrowed garments? Shalevayish is mi she'emli. So the Gemara says like this. This is the Gemara. The Shloimeh Yom Kippurim is a special day because Yom Slicha Mechila. It's also Yom Shinita Beluchas Achreinis, a Chashav day. El Chamisha Asa Ba'av Maihi. What is special about Chamisha Asa Ba'av? Not Yom Kippur. So the Gemara brings a number of opinions. The Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, Yom Shehutru, Kuf Chaf Aleph. Kuf Chaf Aleph. Amid Aleph, in the middle of the page, the line starts with Chamisha Asa Ba'av. It's about 7 lines in the bottom, 8 lines. Chamisha Asa Ba'av, Maihi, what is the mile of Chamisha Asa Ba'av? Amid Yehuda and Shmuel, Zeh, Yom Shehut L'Shvat L'Lavis Ebazeh. My Dorish, what did they expound? Zeh HaDavar, Davar Zeh, L'Yel Noyeg, El B'Doir Hazeh. There was an Isser. We know that Menashe came to Moshe, Shevet Menashe with a taina that Benois Slavchov, Machla, Tirza, all of them, they're going to get married to men from different Shvatim. Then the children go on Messiachas after the father. So the father could be from a different Shevet. See, if they inherit land, they're going to inherit land from their father from Slavchov. It's going to go over to a different Shevet. So Menashe had a problem with that. We're going to lose land. So the Eibusha said, "Leisisav nachlo." You can't marry out of the Shevet. No intermarriage, only within the very same Shevet itself. And you can't go from one nachla to a different nachla. Now, however, the Gemara says, "Zeh hadavar." The davar zeh, the pasuk says, "Zeh davar shetziv Hashem l'vnei slachar." So the Gemara says, "Davar zeh lo yehinoi yigol b'der zeh." This thing of leisis of nachla, that you only mishevet l'shevet, you can only marry into the same shevet, was only in that dirt. When did that gezerah stop? On Chamisha Asabav. After that, they were able to. It was no longer that dirt anymore, and they were able to marry into each other. That's one opinion. Rabbi Bar Chana Amar Rabbi Yochanan Yoim Shehuta Shevet Binyamin Lavi Bekal. Yesiv Ish Yisrael Nishba B'Mitzvah Leimer. Yidden swore in Mitzvah saying, Ish Mimenu Leyitim Bite LeBinyamin Leisha. None of us should give their daughters to Binyamin to marry. Now, my daughters, the Gemara asks, where did they learn out that this is not the stop after that generation? Mimenu, from us, however, the children of ours are not obligated to keep to this Shavua. They can marry into Binyamin. Another opinion of Dimi Bar Yosef Amar Rab Nachman Yoim Shekolo Boy Meisei Midbar. The day that the Mason and the Midbar stopped passing away. The Amar Marat Shaloi Kolo Meisei Midbar Lehoye Dibur and Moshe. Hashem did not speak to Moshe peh el peh like he did in the beginning. Shenema v'hi kashet ka'an shenchal loz v'keram v'samach l'vidah b'shem elai lamer eloi hoya dibur. When everyone passed away, whoever was involved in the Chaitim Meraglim, then Yidaber Hashem Elai, Hashem spoke to me. So the dibur that Hashem spoke to Moshe was after they were all nifter. So when did they stop being nifter? It was Chamisha Asabav. In reality, it was Tisha B'Av. But they only realized it was over until they saw the full moon. And then they realized the Tisha B'Av Taka passed for sure. Vaita says the Gemara, Amar Ula Amar Yoim Shepita Yeshaya ben Ela Pardesois Shahoy Shebirabim Ala Drachim Shalai Ela Yalu Yisrael L'Regel. So Yeshaya ben Ela put up guards, and I'm sorry, Yeshaya ben Ela was mevatel the guards that Yeravam ben Nevat put up that even shouldn't go up to the Regel.
It's cards.
Look at Rashi.
There's
a Shvam over here. It says Shemrin.
On the sword. On this one that is given on the sword is security.
In modern Hebrew also?
Yeah.
Rav Masna Omar Yoim Shenitnu, it's not a common word. Gemara. Yoim Rav Masna Omar Yoim Shenitnu Haruge Beitar Lekura. The day they were able to, those that were killed in Beitar from Bar Kochva were able to be buried. Now Rav Masna Yisir Shenitnu Haruge Beitar Lekura Tiknu B'Yavna. In Yavna, with some Hejums in Yavna, they were Masakin, Hatoiv, Hametiv. Hatoiv, Shalei Srichu, Hametiv Shenitul. There were two Nisim which happened. That the bodies remained, their state intact, and they were able to back to them.
So someone was eating dust. More it's an eating done bodies. So that's a bizarre of such a long time.
Yeah. Now, Rabbi Rav Yosef, the Omri Tarvayu, they both said like this: Yoim shepois k'mei melichis eitzin l'ma'arafa. The day they stopped cutting wood for the ma'arafa, for the mizbeach. Tanya Rabbi Elazar Hagadol Omer Kiven Shigiach Mishal Smav Toshash Koicha Shel Chama. After this, the nights get longer, so the sun is weaker. The Akarsin eitzin l'ma'arafa. They were no longer cut wood for karbanis. That day was called the day that they broke the magol, the special sickle that they used to cut the wood. From then and on, the Gemara says, from Chamisha Asabab and on, the Yosef, those that add learning Torah at night, Yosef is Moisif. Life. She'enim Yosef. If you don't add Yosef. My Yosef, what does it mean, Yosef? Tana of Yosef, Tikvere Ime Chas Shalom, his mother will bury him, meaning he'll be Nifter Koidim Zmani. Now, after Chamisha Sabav, if you're not using out the time for living HaTorah. Now, the reason why they were cut wood until then, because the wood had a certain moisture in it. And that would cause two problems. One, it would make smoke when you would burn something that has moisture in it to make smoke. They didn't want it for the Mizbeach. And also worms. When there's moisture, there's worms and there's insects come. That's possible for the Mizbeach. So when Kolzman, the sun, was a full day of sun, it would warm up, dry up the wood. Now and on, they stopped. So that was a simcha that they finished that mitzvah. At Kan, the Gemara's discussion about Chamisha Asabah. Yeah. We have here a little bit of Sikha, which I'm just going to go through it Baal Peh, very Geshmak Sikha, about going through the reasons of the.
What year was the Sukkah?
The Sikha was Tafshin Lamed Tes. Maybe you were there. That's so.
Maybe I was, no, but I was there. There was Sukkah. Girl, I went Tavshin Lamed Tes. That means going to be before Tavshin Men.
Right before Tafshin
I
Lamed.
was here. I was back there. I was in Canterbury.
Oh, okay.
Castle in Canterbury. That was the door of Goldie. We went to the Lubavitcher Castles, like, went for one hill, it's a grand, well,
Chayil,
was one.
Baal Shem Tov, and the Alter Rebbe. Right.
Where else? That's the only familiar in the
But
city.
it's not. No. You mean Chafal. You have his father there. It's like
Why a minute?
because Chayil is already closer to Rosh Hashanah.
It's tough love. Okay.
Makes sense, Chafal. They let you leave.
1 o'clock in the morning, we drove down to Strasbourg.
Want to sit? Want to listen?
I'm going to say it about that because it's a longer sikha.
Yeah.
So the Rebbe starts off saying, by all the reasons in the Gemara, we understand why it's a Yom Tov. Because there was a benefit and a toiva for Klal Yisrael. Either there was a gzeira or an einish that was stopped on that. Was either the Yom Shekolu and Mesa Midbar, the Hesheya, when Elah stopped allowed them to go Pladegol, Harugi Beitar, or Hutru, Shvat Labazeh, when we understand why these are very special times. But regarding the last reason, that the day that they stopped cutting down the wood for the Haracha, for the Mizbeach, it's harder to understand what is the unique Maila and Toiva that you stopped preparing the wood for the Mizbeach. That should be such a day that it's a Yom Tov, not only a Yom Tov Gadol, the Yom Tov Yisrael. You finish cutting the wood? What's the grace of Yom Tov? If I can't, you're stopping to do something that the Mizbeach needed to do. And Menashe goes on that and says that that idea, a name was given to that day. They used to cuddle Yom Tav Magol. They would call it a day when they would break these iron sickles that they used. They broke it. They didn't need it anymore. So what's the idea of calling it Hashem this day? What's the Gemara trying? What is Chazal trying to bring out? You called it a certain Hashem. Shekoyach is now also Metat Teva. It's the time of Tashash Keichel Shachama, seemingly a good Teva. That the sun, it's a good teva. The sun is strong. It's a helpful thing, and they were saying it's becoming weaker. It's a chalishis in the teva, and because of this, we were required to stop. We could no longer cut, and they had to finish it quicker. So, what is this? The big yom tiv about this whole idea? Sort of like it was a hechrit. They had no choice. Now, besides the fact that we don't understand why this is a reason of simcha. The Rebbe builds up the question, Gedarke, to make it stronger, that this opinion the Gemara brings at the ending. And the Gemara says that the Rabbi Rabbi Yosef, the Omri Tarvayu, that two Amayroyim were saying both this reason.
The last one.
The last reason. So, not only that, Menashe adds on and says, Yom Shekara Beitav Magol. So it seems he also is going with this Shita. So you have 2-3 Ameroyim that are going with this, that this is the reason. This is the Iker reason, not that the other reasons didn't happen. They all happened the Chamishas B'Av. Shaila is why,
What makes it the strongest?
why is this, what's the stronger reason, or what's the Iker reason? So, Rabbeinu Gershom, on the side of the Gemara, you have Babasa Rabbeinu Gershom, one of the Shainim. Rabbeinu Gershom says the chashivas is because the fisha you oiskin lichris et atzemerecha in spatel b'tamatoira. They were busy cutting; they couldn't learn that time. Va'oisei yoim pasku v'asu yamta shemikan ve'elech hayu oiskim b'Torah. So that's why it was a special day, because now they're able to free to learn. The Rashbam says differently. It says oisei yoim shepasku yismeichim she'oisei yoim ashlimin mitzvah gedoyla kazois. He had finished such a great mitzvah preparing Eitz Lamaracha. That's why it was such a big simcha. Now, why did Rashbam not learn like Rabbeinu Gershom? Rabbeinu Gershom said that now they're able to sit and learn, no longer busy. Rashbam said no, it's because the etzem inyan of finishing up such a important mitzvah is a mitzvah gedayla, big simcha. So it's pashit because Rabbi Gamliel, first of all, Rabbeinu Gershom Shita is not mentioned in the Gemara before. The Gemara says the reason why it's a Yom Tov is because of the day they stopped cutting the. So he says that's not the etzem stopping the cut; it's the
Simcha,
that now they're able to learn. It doesn't say anywhere in the Gemara now they're able to learn. That's why they were happy. So the Rabbeinu Gershom's pirush is not so in the pshat. So we can understand why Rashbam wanted to learn differently. That it was the etzem hashlama of this mitzvah gedayla that made this great simcha. Furthermore, another nekuda, it's hard to understand in Havana, not sad learning only learning in the Gemara, but in Havana, why is this such a great simcha that you're going to make a big Yom Tov? When you fit that now you're stopping to do a mitzvah. There's a mitzvah of cutting the wood. It wasn't stamp cutting the wood. You didn't do it because you did it for a mitzvah. It wasn't. It was for karbanis. To say that this is such a pasha thing, they were stopping to do a mitzvah. Okay, ma'ilo talmud Torah can get kulam, but it's like being doich a mitzvah. But l'maisa, okay, Rashbam didn't want to learn like a Gershom. He wants to learn it's etzem fact that you finish this mitzvah. But why does he call it a mitzvah gedoyla? What's the mitzvah gedoyla? We understand he's saying it's a mitzvah gedoyla because that's why lo hayom tel Yisrael. It's a mitzvah gedoyla that brought out that the Yom Tov was such a big Yom Tov. But why was it a mitzvah gedoyla?
The mitzvah gedoyla is to do something. Here the mitzvah gedoyla not to do. Stop cutting.
Right, and few things here. First of all, why is it a mitzvah gedoyla? Second of all, why is it a mitzvah b'chlal? It's a heksher mitzvah. There's no mitzvah in the Torah to cut wood. It's not one of the Tayyag mitzvahs. It's not a mitzvah that I bought him either. It's a heksher mitzvah, right? You have to cut the sreigim from the tree, so you have the sreigim, dalaminim, you have to cut the dalaminim. So the mitzvah, the cutting of the dalaminim, it's a heksher mitzvah. It's machshir that you're able to do the mitzvah. We don't find by any other mitzvah in the Torah that you finish a mitzvah, even if it was a mitzvah.
It is a mitzvah gedoyla.
Mitzvah gedayla lehayom tov Yisrael. You finish a mitzvah. We finish all the time mitzvahs. Lehayom tov Yisrael. So let's leave that now. Going over to further the ending of the Gemara. So Menashe continues on and said, "It's Yoim Shekarav Tavar Magol." The day that they broke, that's why it was called Al Shem Zeh. So in this we find two pirushim. Tosfos and Rabbeinu Gershom. Tosfos says, so Tosfos in Tainus, not in Bava Basra. Tosfos says, "Shemoyne milichis eitz marach." Doesn't mean literally they would break it. To say that they no longer had to cut. They stopped cutting.
Here's the question.
Rabbeinu Gershom also says, Rabbeinu Gershom similar. Ain't tzrichin hamagol it. You don't need the magol anymore.
I think you break something, don't break the migdash. Because next year, because you're stopping now, it's a cliff of Kodesh, the cut will open, and it makes one touch of it. Breaking something that.
Yeah, very strong shiloh. Yeah. The Rashbam says,
making a Yom Tov that
"Shenishtabru hakadumis." He learns literally. Shtabru, they actually broke it. Shein tzorich oid behen lachtav eitzah. So it comes out.
They take the axe and break it, and how you break wood with an axe?
It's the same.
Break it. Yom Tov Magar.
Now,
Magal is not a
No, it's
Right, a magal is like
over here. He's comparing. He's saying the same. He's putting it together.
something.
Now, comes out that we have here Toisis and Avena Gershom said it's not literal, just means that it's your meneya from being cutting anymore. Rashbam, and it's also Masharashi, because it says Shvira Sagarzu, that it's literally they would break it. Now, what's the hechrich why Rashbam and Rashi learn differently than Toisis and Avena Gershom? So first of all, that's the Pasha Taich in the Gemara. Taver Magal. Taver, the Tav and the Shin are interchangeable. Shover, they were break the Magal. So that's what we understand why they learned that Pshat. Now, another Akud over here is that according to the Pshat, Yoim Taver Magal, like Toisus and Avena Gershom, it only means that they stopped cutting the wood. So when Menashe added on that Karoli in Tabernacle, what did he really add on to Rabbi Yosef? Rabbi Yosef says it's the day that they stopped cutting Pasku Liches Eitz Maracha. So he said that day was called by that name. What's the hisaf in it? If you say it was a different idea, breaking the magol, so you understand it's a new thing, a new pu'ula happened here. You say it's just you're called by what the day was. It's not anything a new hisaf over here.
Why such a big symptom about breaking the magal?
Now, so therefore we understand that Rashbam learned it meant kipshute, and that they actually broke it. But now we need to understand. Now we understand why Rashbam learned differently. But the etzem sheet of Rashbam, what was the maila of breaking it? Such an important thing to break something, and Karol Yoim Taber Magal, they called it that day, and l'chora like Shmuel was saying, it's an Inyan about Tashtis.
Or keep it for next year. Use the surah.
Mela, you can't use it for Tashmish Eichol. You could say, okay, maybe you can't use something. It was just a Heksha Mitzvah, but maybe you could say it's not a Keli in the Mikdash. Say you used it for to do something, a Shaykh in the Kedusha, you don't use it for Choyl. But why do you have to break it? And also you could leave it for next year.
Before.
The same, put it away in the shed and you use it for next year for the same exact thing.
Maybe it wasn't sharp anymore. Sharp.
Maybe ain't a news Makam Ashirus.
Also the 100%.
But still in all, why do you have to break it? So leave it.
Maybe.
Leave it. Oh, then what do you need to break it? He says that the Gemara reminds me that it says in the Tana B'Kirayim Yutats, right?
Yes.
So I think Rashi says over there that Tmeim Heim Lachem comes to teach you that you don't have to break it. You can leave it. It's Tameh. You don't have to, just don't use it. You don't have to be Shoiver the Tanner. You can leave it. Just don't use it. It's Tameh. It's a Kricheres.
No, the dap anymore.
So here's what the Rebbe starts to bring out his halach. Huh?
What Fedritas?
Yutats broken.
Well, Spanish.
So Rebbe starts off like this. Yishloimer. The whole Maimer of Shimon Rashbag, of Shimon Gamliel, Lehoyi Tayv in Yisrael, comes behemshich to the Mishnah in Tainus, the Mishnah in Tainus, when they get Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av is the saddest day of the year, the Yom Eivel in the year. So the Hepich is Simcha Yom Tov. So the Mishnah was mamshich to the other extreme. Hayim Tov Yisrael, Kachamisha also, you can put it, it's the other extreme of what we learned before.
Like a play, or nice, we don't make it.
Oh, the Rebbe used to look for breaking.
I don't know, Claudius,
In history.
historical.
Because they don't get the concept. They went so badly with boys and girls, shluchim, that they say, oh, you're. It's not sneers and this, the opposite. But if you know the previous this, is like, wow.
But the Rebbe actually didn't even all the years Fabring. It was only later on he started to Fabring. And then once he started, I think for most years he Fabring. But in the beginning he didn't Fabring.
There's no big shot.
Exactly.
He didn't have an English.
It's not political.
Exactly.
The Rebbe's have Tishin?
Doesn't add up.
The Rebbe's have Tishin on the Shemshon?
Yeah. Like Wednesday night is going to be a dish by a different level.
The problem is the oilums in the country. So
the dish is over there. The Rebbe over there.
It's not for you guys. It's like,
now, so the way the Rebbe is saying that the Rebbe wants to bring out that Chamisha Asa B'Av is the opposite of Tisha B'Av. So what was Tisha B'Av? Tisha B'Av was, we can understand when we go through the reasons, why the reasons of Chamisha Asa B'Av are the opposite of Tisha B'Av. Yom Shekal by Meisei Midbar. When did that happen? That was on Tisha B'Av, was Nigzad Gzeira, was on Tisha B'Av. So Yom Shekal by Meisei Midbar is the opposite of Tisha B'Av. So Chamisha Asa B'Av was the hepich of Tisha B'Av. The reason, because of Yom Shitaruge Beit Al Kvura, is also the opposite of Tisha B'Av. Because one was Beitar captured, Tisha B'Av Nilka the Beitar was captured on Tisha B'Av. Those two reasons comes out that the two reasons for Chamisha Asa B'Av Simcha is the hepich of Tisha B'Av. What are the other reasons? The Gemara brings Yom Shevutru Shvatim Lavei Zebazeh, and
Right, Tisha B'Av is a chubed not to marry, and here they are married.
now the Churban was, the Galus was Tisha B'Av, they had to leave Eretz Yisrael. When here the Rebbe gives more hasbara, that the day that they were allowed to marry one another, the Shvatim allowed to marry each other, meant that the Yidden were more Messiash in Eretz Yisrael. Till that point,
The opposite
they
of
were
Tisha B'Av.
they were stuck in their land, and they didn't. One sheva had no shaykhs than another sheva. He was not allowed to buy land there. He couldn't live there. He couldn't buy land there. So in a way, the bailus of every year, the connection every year to Eretz Yisrael was very limited. Hey, this is my land. I don't have any connection to the rest. This is my land. Not the whole Eretz Yisrael is holy to me. This is my area, and I don't have any shaykhs to everything else. It's not my nachla. One thing is batal. The sis of nachla, misheva l'sheva is batal. Come dice. That now every year there's a shaykhs to Eretz Yisrael. So the Rebbe ties us in that this is the idea opposite of Golus that came from Tisha B'Av. They were Goylam Ma'artzam. They even were able to now Messiashe B'Artzam.
Oh, another one.
Now, even though we say the Chamisha Dvarim Iru is Abiseinu B'Tisha, the five things happened, right? The Mishnah says in times on Tisha B'Av. But what was the first thing? The Tisha of Nigzra Abiseinu Shalei Consularis. But even that's the first thing. That's not the Iker. The Iker is the tinus of Tisha B'Av is on the Churban Habayis. That was the Iker. So it says the Rebbe like this. Since the Churban Habayis is the Iker, so that's why Chamisha Asa B'Av is such a big simcha. Because which Amoida's reason for the simcha of Chamisha Asa B'Av is the opposite of the Churban of the Beis HaMikdash. Which one is most connected to being the opposite of the Churban? Yoim Shapasku Milichres Eitzel Maracha. What was the Indian of Eitzel Maracha? That was how they were Makriv Karbanis. The Rambam says that the Iker in the Karbanis is the Indian of the Iker of the Indian of the Bayis is the Makriv Karbanis. Machlekes Rambam Ramban. We won't have discussed it here. The Ramban says the Iker is the Kodesh HaKadoshim. That's the Iker being of the Bayis, because there is the Shechina Shayra, the Aron, Mokum for the Aron. The Rambam says no. He starts with Hilchos Beis HaBechira, Bayinim, Bayish, and Akrivim by Karbanis. The Bayis is about being makriv by Karbanis. That's the Iker of the Bayis. Now,
That's another reason opposite of Tisha B'Av. Israel will destroy that you can't bring korbanos. And here we're going ahead.
Here we're ready now that we could bring karbanis now until Chodesh Nisan. Prepare enough eitzim to bring. Now, the Inyan of bringing karbanis, it was a donation. The families brought it, B'shmachas and Klal Yisrael, they cut it and they did it for all the Klal Yisrael. It's a donation. Carbon, they used to bring a carbon on the day that they brought their eitzim. They brought it to the Beis Hamikdash. The family would have a carbon that day. It was a Yom Tov for them that day. The Gemara talks about which days, which families would do it. And it was a tzedakah that they gave to the Beis Hamikdash. This is a very chashuv tzedakah. Tzedakah benefited everyone. There are different families.
No, but when I give 18, this 18 is not for me to want here. Listen, and this could be for any other Jew that come to bring a.
Oh, they brought it and it was stored in the Beis Hamikdash to use until Chodesh Nisan.
Right, but I'm saying
Chodesh Nisan, they started again cutting.
But when you took a piece of wood, doesn't mean that I cut this wood. This wood could be used for any Jew that probably.
Yeah, it was not theirs. It was given away. It's not theirs.
They started cutting. So what wood did they use?
Till Chodesh Nisan, they used what they caught
From what? From
the whole time until Chamisha Asar.
That's
No.
it. From now to Tisha B'Av, you cut. You would.
Wood had to be dried out.
Yeah,
Right,
it's dry.
right.
From Nisan to Av, this 3 months.
The sun, it was still, it's warm. It's a warm climate. It's warm. It's hot.
These 3 months.
Dried.
Yeah, because now the sun is very strong. When Chamisha B'Av comes, the sun starts getting wetter, so the wood will be a lachluchit in it. And when you make a fire, a wood that's wet, it's staying.
Now, so we know that tzedakah is a very big mitzvah, and over here it's the inyan of tzedakah and the inyan of karbanis. You're giving tzedakah for karbanis. Every Yid in Klal Yisrael needs it, benefits from it. Carbon sibur, carbon yachid, and
All the korbanos.
and after this point, there's no ability to get it. You can't get this wood. So it's a tzedakah, it's a very important tzedakah that you're not going to be able to get anywhere. People have to think ahead of time. The families thought ahead of time. He prepared it, and it's a very special tzedakah. And this allowed the Yidden to bring karbanos. The kiyum of the Beis Hamikdash, the inyan of bringing karbanos was allowed dafka through this pula that they did then. So it says Tashash Koicha Shel Chama, we're trying to bring out that it was a very special that tzedakah that they did. Because now on, no one's going to be able to do it otherwise, to have wood. Now, so this reason is the reason that's most connected to the Beis Hamikdash. Because the ikar of all the things, the terrible things that happened of was the Churban Beis Hamikdash. So the ikar, from all the reasons of Chamisha Asar B'Av, the one that corresponds and is the tikkun, the opposite, is the idea that Chamisha Asar was a time that they brought wood for the Mizbeach, which that's the ikar in the Beis Hamikdash. Now Menashia went on further and added and said, the Qadar L'Yoim Tabernacle. What's the Qadar L'Yoim Tabernacle? That there's something deeper over here.
Right.
So what could be over here? Why do they have to break down the
metal?
Okay,
What's
so Yom Tov here, why do you have to break it? And why did they call it that day with that name? So the Mishnah says in Seches Midas that you're not allowed to have any barzel, iron, touch the Avnei HaMizbeach. And we learned about it here. If you touch a certain Evan, it becomes puzzle.
Right.
Why? The Mishnah says, Shabarzel nivre l'katza yom ha'shadav, v'mizbeach nivre l'harech yom ha'shadav. Barzel was nivre for this, and Mizbeach was nivre for this. So Nashi said like this. Pasku lich the Ilya Chamisha Asar B'Av late at Abba Rav Yosef is just that they stopped the cutting for the maracha, they're cutting the wood. It's only a hechsher mitzvah, and it's a very chashuv mitzvah because it's a mitzvah gedola. That's how we have a bayis muchon makirim by karbanis.
That's another reason. That's the biggest reason because metal is not allowed to be missing.
This is also connected to the Mizbeach. The eitzim that were caught, finished cutting by Chamisha Asaba'av. We're not yet brought on the Mizbeach. That's going to be a later time. Over here, they broke the iron, the barzel, to show
the opposite of what happened.
that barzel, they want to start the pu'ula of the idea of showing that the Mizbeach nivra l'harich yom hashada. They broke the barzel saying, we don't want the barzel. Barzel was nivra l'katzu yom hashada.
We're making those, yeah.
And we're bringing wood, which is helping the Mizbeach shenivra l'harich yom hashada, to bring out that nekuda, to mevatel the inyan of the barzel.
That's why it wasn't.
Because after they finished cutting the wood from the Mizbeach, so they did everything that was needed with the barzel for the Mizbeach. Now, what remains from this barzel? Nivra l'katzi yom hashada. The whole te'elis we don't need anymore. What is there to it now? Its toichen it was nivra in a certain toichen. That toichen is not a good toichen. So therefore they broke it. It's minaray yishim mevatel it. And it's not bal tashkis, because in halacha, bal tashkis only when you do something derech hashchasa and kilkul. They had a toichen to it. They were showing we took out whatever good toiv we could get out of the barzel for cutting the wood. We did. Now that we finish, a chamisha asbav is not shaykh to do anything more with the barzel. Right away we're going to break it because the whole inyan of barzel is never the katsu yom hashaladim. Now, remember that the second bayis, the bayis sheni, was destroyed because of sin of chilaf. And we do Tisha B'Av because of the bayis sheni. Now, we spoke now until now how the Iker Tisha B'Av was the Chorban, the Iker Chamisha Asar B'Av, the idea was of the families getting together and doing something for Klal Yisrael to keep the Mizbeach going, to keep the Iker of the Bayis running the whole year. But it's not only that, it was the opposite of the Chorban. It was the Kiyum of the Mizbeach. It was also the opposite of the Siba of the Chorban. The Siba of the Chorban was Sinas Chinam. Over here, these families did something, Avas Chinam. They didn't gain anything from it. They was that Klal Yisrael should be able to have carbon, be able to bring carbonis. So there's a bit of a toiva to prepare ahead of time and to do this, and this brought out an Achdus Yisrael. So the Rebbe ties it in. That's why Taka later on, the Chamisha Asar B'Av became the day of Bnei Yisrael Laim Yotzim B'Chodesh B'Kramim. And the Brisa says that there were all different types, Yafiyafiyais, Miyuchasis, Muchares. And they all go in the same circle. They all dance together as one group, even though they're all different. The one is from the Schneider shul, one's from this shul, different shul, but they all come together.
That itself is already Achdus.
And not only that, they all go b'kli love and shu'ulim,
Not to embarrass.
not to embarrass anyone. So it shows that there was a very big inyan achdus.
Went to the shidduch question.
The Rebbe connects this to the
Break the shidduch crisis. Go
Siyum HaMesichta, that Asa HaKadosh Baruch Hu lasses machal at tzadikim, who yeshe b'neim b'gan Eden, v'chol echa v'echa maretz boi. So he says that amich kulam tzadikim. So this refers to all the tzadikim, and all the Yidden will be. They shall make them one machal, one dance for everyone. And then that day, La'asalavi says that have a finish. That will be the real Yom Tabernacle. Because it says v'chitzu chabeis le'itin le'isa goy goy cherev, and that will be the emissary laharich yom shel adam, that will be tchias hamesim, and kol yisrael yeshem chelek haba, and all Yidden that should be meherev v'meimah.
The metal is
There was a chazara, you heard it already.
right.
This was a siyum on the Masech Tainus. They was making a siyum. This sikha was said this sikha was from two times. The Rebbe spoke on Chamishas Vav, and he on his Chacham's father's yard site 5 days later, second Farbrengen, where then he always made a siyum on the yard site. So he made a siyum on Tainis. So this is Gebayit that started the beer and Chamishas Vav, and was Messiah on the Masechet Tainis as a sort of a hadron on the. Let's see. We have a minyan. Huh?
One short. What?
No, this sikha that this talk that Rebbe gave was on two occasions. He said it on Chamisha Asa B'Av on the Farbrengen. 5 days later was his father's yard site, so he made a siyum on Masechta Tainis, and he connected. Masechta Tainis finishes off with the whole thing of Lo Hayam Tov Yisrael. So he connected he spoke the idea in both days. The sikha is comprised of what he spoke both times.
Yeah,
He started talking about a Chamisha Azam, and he continued. Yeah, he made a scene for his father's yard site.
One more person. Yeah, hopefully my father. No,
His father's yard site. Right?
there's supposed to be a plane going to Almar.
Good to see you. With Shkoyach HaMedevish, Shkoyach David.
Not enough people.
Beautiful. Very, very nice. Very good. Very fun.
Shkoyach, thank you.
Shkoyach.
Shkoyach, good to see you. Good night.
What? No. It's Kazakhstan. Right, but why? Traditionally, we had about 200 people. The Trump $50,000. Now it's not enough. No. Right. So the plane to go straight up to here. Like, the price.